We are so excited to have Kevin and Sam Sorbo with us today on the Charles Billingsley podcast. Kevin and Sam, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
And they are in two different locations today. Kevin, where are you today?
I'm at home here in West Palm Beach, Florida.
And Sam, where are you?
Yes, I'm in Paris, France.
I was going to say Paris, Texas.
There's a Paris, Texas. You're right. There it is. Now she does
talk about Texas.
French. So if you want her to do the interview with you guys in French, she's more than happy to oblige.
Maybe
that's cool. That's cool. Oui.
It'd be pretty boring because I got no French.
I know.
Well, I love it. So we just want to kind of back up if I was kind of just doing a little research and reading about you guys, you both met on the set of Hercules?
There was back in 1996.
Wow.
Was the end of season 4, and she came down to guest star on the show, and I held her captive. I said, "You can't go back." So,
she saw you in those sandals and was like, "Wow, that's him."
That's it.
Very funny.
I had to work
the man of my dreams. So, Sam, you've been acting for a while. Then, what projects people would know that you've been on?
Oh, Chicago Hope, and then more recently, Let There Be Light, which is a movie that I co-wrote and we put in theaters a few years ago, and it did very well in theaters, and I'm very proud of that film. So yeah, I don't know, people may or may not know this, but after we got married, we had a phenomenal love story, Kevin and I. When we met, it was love at first sight. It was crazy. And then about 8 months into our engagement, Kevin got very ill, and so I walked away from my acting career to basically take care of him and watch him make a full recovery, which he did after about 3 years. And then
it took that long.
It took a long time. And if you want to read about it, it's in his book, True Strength. What's the subtitle of your book, True Strength?
My Journey from Hercules to Mere Mortal and How Nearly Dying Saved My Life. It's chronicles an aneurysm that I didn't know that was in my way up in my left shoulder next to my neck. And when it opened up, it sent not only hundreds of clots in my arm, but it sent a series of clots into my brain. I suffered a few strokes.
Wow.
So
wow.
Lucky to be alive, lucky to have come back. I still have some balance issues. I still have about a 10% loss of vision in both eyes, but grace of God and a strong will and a wife that got on my face every time I got down saying, "Kevin, it happened. What are you going to do about it?" And I made it through, and I didn't want to write the book. She kind of made me do it because I didn't want to show how weak Hercules had become. And
I was going to ask you, Hercules, you go from Hercules to not being able to walk.
Oh yeah, I had to spend about 4 months learning really how to walk and balance again and forcing myself. I mean, here I was 6'3", 230 pounds, and about 10% body fat at the most, and couldn't even get around anymore.
Good gracious, that's unbelievable. So obviously you couldn't film any more Hercules shows.
Believe it or not, we did. I went back 4 months after the strokes, and they built a little crutch for me, a little butt crutch to make me look like I was still standing. And they just did a lot of flashbacks. They just kept it going. And I went from 18 hours door to door to about 3 hours door to door. And it was a tough, I think the schedule didn't exactly help me. I was working probably 14 hours on the set, and locations were an hour each way. Then I was lifting weights 2 hours every day. And I think it just, I was surviving on 4 hours of sleep for five straight years. And I think a combination of those things probably kind of.
You think it caught up with you? Maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe it caught up.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So when he went back to work in New Zealand, they got him for an hour a day.
Yeah.
So they were, furiously rewriting all the scripts because he took 4 months to start his recovery, and it was a big decision for him to go back to work. And we wrestled with it. But what I realized is, he needed to work. He needed to have that thing that helped define him which it did. It really, he really finds himself in his work, and he needed to have that, even if it was only for an hour a day. And so as weak as he was, it helped him battle. It helped him pull through.
Yeah. So season 6 and 7 were quite different than seasons 1 through 5 for me, which really sucked. I mean, I really loved being on a set. It was tough to really, like, a lot of dizzy spells, a lot of vertigo. So it was tough to really have fun being on the set, because I had such a great crew, and that was family. You're working 12, 14 hours a day with these guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he used to have lunch with his crew and his cast, and he stopped doing that. That just went away. He had to just go to his trailer. I mean, initially, because his brain was so impaired, just putting himself out there, that amount of anxiety of having people around him and people talking to him was enough to just lay him flat for the rest of the day. Wow. And so it was, he wasn't having lunch with the cast and crew, and he wasn't the jovial guy who was joking around anymore. And in fact, the crew, his first day back, they announced him. I can't remember, did they applaud, or they were just very quiet?
It was like going to my own wake. It was very weird.
Yeah, it was they were very quiet, because they were so respectful, because they knew something disastrous had happened, and they were all just grateful that he had come back so that they could keep their jobs. I mean, he was Hercules, and the show was called Hercules.
I got to be honest. For me, it put a light at the very, at the end of a long, dark tunnel. I'm grateful. I mean, Universal Studios didn't do it out of the graciousness of their hearts. I don't know if you guys know, but by season 3, we became the #1 TV show in the world. We passed Baywatch. We were in 176 countries. So for them, it was a cash cow. For me, it helped actually make me get better quicker, I think. And it gave me some kind of purpose, instead of looking around a wall and suffering with migraines, all the time.
Yeah. So were you able to, I guess you couldn't really go work out though, like you had been.
No, it was tough. I tried. I was doing a lot of therapy, balance exercises, and whatever the doctors gave me to do, I did 10 times more than they told me to do, because I realized that I had to make my brain work out again. I had to wipe myself out, and then let it come back to heal again. Like Sam said, a lot of I couldn't drive a car for 2 years. I had to put the seat back, because I couldn't handle all the cars going by me. My brain just couldn't do too much. But
so
I forced myself to do it.
What would they do about, like, you memorizing lines and things? How did we able to do that?
But I went from being in 98% of every episode down to about 50%, because they would do about 2 scenes each day with me. But it was just my style, just shooting me and stuff like that. And my stunt guy finally got to do my fight scenes, because I did about 95% of my fight scenes, because I'm a jock and I grew up playing football and basketball and everything. So for me, my ego wanted me to do the stunts because it was fun.
Sure.
And we had 3 fight scenes every episode, and my stunt guys were amazing. They're the ones that made me look like a big stud. Those guys were just awesome.
Yeah. But what's amazing is now now we're 22, 23 years later. I can't believe it's been that long, isn't it? And you look fantastic.
It's 30 years ago we started filming the series. 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Adam, were you hardly alive?
I was trying to do the math there, Charles. I was like,
how old are you guys?
Well, I'm 53. So but they call me Hercules here in the office. I don't know why.
He was 23 and Adam was.
What year are we talking about? 94?
Yeah, you were
30 years ago. 1993. We started filming in
1993. I was in 6th grade.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hercules fan.
Yeah. So, but now here we are all these years
I did
later.
watch Baywatch, but that's.
Well, yeah, because you're.
Hey.
You're a big David Hasselhoff fan?
Yes.
I don't think so.
We had a lot of cleavage. We had a lot of cleavage on my show too. It just happened to be mine.
Yeah, very funny. They called Hercules Baywatch BC.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
So, but now so many years later, are you still dealing with some of the, like you said, you lost still 10% in your eyesight?
Yeah, if I do, the field of vision test they give you, if you put your eyes and you with looking straight ahead, you got to say where you see the little light. I don't know, 10% in the upper.
They don't know that. They've never had any reason to know that.
Wow.
They map where your eyes can see and his eyes don't. They have a blank spot.
So occasionally when I play against ping pong against my boys and I hit that spot right, they win the point. So it's a little unfair.
Yeah, a little blind spot. Yeah,
ball disappears just for that quick blip.
A little grace on that.
All right, now we know where to hit it, guys. If we ever play him in ping pong.
That's right.
But years later, then you have more books. You just started writing more books, and then you came out with True Faith. I guess how many years after True Strength came out?
Well, that True Faith just came out about two and a half years ago, right, Sam?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me about dates. I don't do dates at all.
It was about two and a half years ago. And,
wow.
But I got to tell you, I didn't want to, when I did True Strength, it was years later. When it came out back in 2012, I was amazed at how many bookstores wanted me to come to read. And so I'd read a chapter and I'd get, a lot of fans would show up from the Hercules and then Dramedy years. And I'd already done about 20 movies up to that point as well. So I did a movie, really my first really faith-based movie called What If in 2010. It's the same writers that did God's Not Dead. And I've shot over 80 movies. And What If in my book is a much better movie than God's Not Dead. It's a matter of luck and timing, these independent movies, of how do you get the word out? How do you get and the interesting thing of that, What If was directed by Dallas Jenkins, who's doing The Chosen now. So
yeah.
And his father, Jerry Jenkins, was the one who funded it. And I directed the last Left Behind movie, which is in theaters this past January and February, Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. So,
and that's a Jenkins book.
Kind of a full circle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
we interviewed Jerry as one of our guests on the podcast.
And Dallas's wife.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you want to know the freakiest part of all of this? My maiden name is Jenkins.
Really? You're not related to them, are you?
No.
Okay.
But I tell you, when the book,
cool.
I got to tell you real quick, when the book came out, though, all of a sudden a door opened to me to do speaking events, and it was mostly because the book is it's humorous. It's not a downer thing. Look, it's like, how do you get past obstacles in life? Because I was playing the strongest guy in the world. I was in better shape in my 30s than most guys in their 20s, and all of a sudden it all gets taken away. How do you deal with that? And through faith and through family and all that. So all of a sudden it was all that, but then they see, oh, he's pro-life, he's Christian. Now I do about 15 speaking events a year, and most of them are pro-life, which I love. That's become quite a cause for me, and it opened a road to me that I never thought I'd be doing, public speaking, and yet here I'm doing it all the time. I got 5 more yet this year to do.
Now,
that's awesome.
Didn't you experience a little bit of this cancel culture though in Hollywood because of this?
Oh yeah,
I say a little, probably a lot.
Oh yeah, a lot. Well, Hollywood is like Washington, D.C. shows their hypocrisy all the time. And truth is something that's kryptonite to them. I mean, they hate the truth. And I was, the internet's live and well, and I was posting things, and they called me in one day and said, we can't work with you anymore. Studios don't want to work with you because you're Christian and a conservative. And I go, it's amazing to me that you're an industry that screams for tolerance and freedom of speech, but it's a one-way street with these guys.
Right.
And
I want to point out that this was really way back when cancel culture hadn't actually even been invented.
So I'm the first one to get it.
And
awesome.
So when he started to just speak out just publicly about some politics and some things that were happening in the news, and I said to him, there will likely be repercussions for this, but it didn't occur to me that they were just gonna, like, I figured that individuals might say to him, might say, well, I don't want to work with that guy because that's the way they work. Because frankly, people on the left cannot stand to have their views challenged because they're wrong.
Right.
If they knew that they were right, they'd be fine with you having another opinion. But because they know they're wrong, they can't stand to have you stand there with the truth. Right. And so, and I warned Kevin, I said, this might come back to bite you, but it didn't matter to him because he feels so strongly that the truth has to be, we have to stand up for the truth. We can't go along with the lie. It's like, after World War II, the Nazis on trial in Nuremberg claimed they were just following orders, but that was seen as just as evil as the people who were making the orders. And, we forget that now at our own peril, but you can't go along with the lie because you become complicit in the lie. And so, his agent and his manager said, dude, we can't work with you. Now, Did they know that they wouldn't be able to get him a job? No, they didn't want to work with him personally because they were offended.
Wow.
Right.
It's interesting. I was at the Emmys back. It was like 2010, 2011, even before I got canceled. And Tom Selleck is a mutual friend, and he came up to me, and we're walking into the governor's ball after the Emmy Awards were done. He puts his arm around me, he goes, kind of whispers, "Hey, Kevin, you better tone it down a little bit." And I go, "What? Tone it down? What? I'm just speaking the truth." He goes, "Yeah, but there's buzz around town on you already, so I'd be careful if I was you." And Barbara Walters was like just 10 feet in front of us. And I pointed at her and I said, "Come on, let's go." That's a perfect one to go after right there. So, he wasn't wrong. And I find it weird because I don't harbor that anger and hate that the left has towards people like us. I don't.
Yeah.
You have a different opinion, that's fine. But, as Sam said earlier, their comeback is always, "You're wrong." They don't give you anything. "Oh, wow, I don't know how to come back to that now. You guys really took me out of the fight there."
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-oh, I'm out.
The tolerant left is incredibly intolerant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sam brings up a good point because when you're wrong, you're hypersensitive to being around truth. And you certainly don't want to be confronted with truth. Because even in their lost state, there's a consciousness that God has placed in there that they know. They just know.
Sure.
And it's very sad to see it so prevalent in our society, and yet there it is.
Adam?
So changing gears, I don't know if you guys know this or not. So I was a little younger than these guys during the Hercules days. I remember seeing episodes on TV. Weren't you also the voice of Hercules, the animated movie?
Yeah, I had a big fight with Universal on that one. I got to tell you real quick because animation,
because it's a Disney movie, right?
The story was not good, and I kept telling the producers on Hercules. I said, "Look, we got a series that once it's over, we could do one of these every year. That just goes straight to video. Don't worry about making the theaters." But your animation is so bad and the story is so mediocre, and they wouldn't listen to me. And of course, it came out, I think, with a D- rating on it or something, and it died on the vine very quickly, which is too bad because I think they missed a great opportunity. I had a double business degree in college, marketing and advertising, so I was using that part of my brain thinking about what we could have done with that animation series.
Yeah, to clarify, the Hercules movie that Kevin did was not the Disney Hercules. That was a completely different project.
Okay, that's why
this was the
Universal one.
Right.
So talking about your double major there that you had, you actually decided, though, I guess, tell us about starting Sorbo Studios, where you were going to do your own projects.
Well, once Hollywood booted me out, I realized, I love the industry. I love the creative process. I love being on the set. I love the work. I like to stay busy. I hate sitting around. And so Sam and I started the Sorbo Studios. And, we're doing our own independent projects, but because of the independent projects I do, other independent movie makers come to me all the time. I've shot over 80 movies. I've shot, since Hollywood booted me out, I've shot at least 50 movies since Hollywood gave me the They're not all good, but there's about a dozen. I wish I could.
I love the honesty. I love it.
Hey, it sounds
I think
like
most of them are pretty fun family movies, and it's to me it's still going fine. It'd be great to be able to get those big budgets, but every time we've been funded, it's been a God thing, and we need we do $3 million budgets. That's nothing. It's catering budget in Pirates of the Caribbean, and yet it's the hardest thing to get these wealthy individuals that I've met and golfed with that are billionaires. I'm going, you're making $2 million a day off your $10 billion fortune. You're not going to give me $2 million that you'll get your money back. Plus we'll make a wonderful movie that'll be out there and fight the culture that Hollywood is winning right now. And I'll tell you, Hollywood's winning the culture, as you can see.
Yeah. So I guess a huge part of your job is raising the funds for these independent films, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a good return, isn't it? Especially if it's for a good cause.
And we get them out there, That's why we're looking forward to this one.
I'll tell you
this one's coming out soon, The Miracle in East Texas.
Well, in fact, we're about to go there. Yeah. So we thought we might take a quick break and come back, and then we're going to talk about The Miracle in East Texas
right after this.
Welcome back to the Charles Billingsley podcast. We got Charles, we got Brandon, I'm Adam here, and our guests today are Kevin and Sam Sorbo. It is great to have you guys on. We're enjoying conversations around the movie industry and some of your history. Of course, Hercules is a part of that, as well as kind of getting ousted by the industry, but more what you've done since then and how you're combating a culture that promotes negativity and values we don't believe in with the projects that you're taking on. And so we want to kind of pick up where we left off, Brandon.
Yeah, I want to hear about the brand new project. It comes out in October, I believe.
Yeah.
So in just a couple of weeks from the time that this airs, Miracle in East Texas. I like that this is a tall tale about a true story. That's what
absolutely true. That's what's fun about this.
Well, it's a
tall tale.
It's a tall tale about a true story.
That's what
an absolutely true story. So the absolutely true story here is the East Texas oil strike, which was struck by two scoundrels who were busy selling their fake oil wells to wealthy widows who could afford to invest. And they would oversell the wells in Oklahoma and Texas. They would oversell them to the tune of like 500%. But they always,
just like Delta Airlines and American Airlines on every flight I take.
So they'd eventually just declare a dry hole and move on, and no one would be the wiser. And in this particular case, they actually struck the largest oil strike in the history of the United States, at least the contiguous United States. It's a crazy, crazy story. And we tell it as a comedy. Because it's too funny. It's like, it's real life, but it's too funny. So it's a family-friendly comedy. We want families to be able to go back to the movies again. Do you know, most of the movies now, they rely on potty humor.
Yeah, they do.
And it's kind of gross, frankly, and you don't want to bring your kids there. I brought my kid to, and she's a teenager, and I brought her to a movie. And there was sex in the movie, and I had no idea. And I'm sitting next to my teenage daughter getting kind of embarrassed. She was kind of embarrassed. It was like, that's
and it's probably rated PG.
Yeah, you can't go by the ratings either.
No.
Yeah. So this is a family-friendly comedy. It's a lot of fun. John Ratzenberger is just a hoot. He's just hilarious. And my husband, Kevin, does a pretty good job. And,
nice.
And he directed it. He really did a spectacular job in the movie.
I was going to say, I know you directed it, Kevin, and is that hard to direct yourself as an actor?
Well, I started directing back in the Hercules years. So, a lot of actors do it. I've done very successful with it, like a Robert Redford.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, all these. So when I asked Universal Studios by season 3, I said, you mind if I thought there'd be a fight. I walked in, I said, I want to direct an episode. They said, okay. And I went, all right.
Well, I mean, you were pretty jacked back then, so I don't think they're going to argue with you.
Nobody stood up to Kevin.
I knew my crew. My crew knew me, and I knew them. And I know, I think every actor, you're reading the scripts, you're looking at them, it's like reading a book. Because everybody says a movie made in a book, the book was better. Because in your mind, you're seeing the movie in your mind. So everybody's kind of a director to a degree, but this script was just so good. Dan Gordon wrote it. Dan Gordon's an Oscar-nominated writer. He wrote Denzel Washington's movie, The Hurricane, wrote White Earp, Kevin Costner. He actually did the rewrite on Sam's script called Let There Be Light that Sean Hannity funded. That did very well, and that's how we became friends with Dan. And this script was so great. And we got Lou Gossett Jr.'s in this as well. Lou was great. Tyler Mane stuck behind Sam here. Tyler Mane is known for he's a WWF guy during the 80s and 90s, but he was also Sabretooth in the X-Men movies, and he's Jason in all the horror movies, the guy wearing that mask all the time.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's Jason?
We've never seen his face.
He's a big 6'10" guy. Oh, he did great in this.
Wow.
And we got a lot of very wonderful local Canadian actors. We shot outside of the city of Calgary. So we spoke of Clint Eastwood. We shot at the same ranch Clint shot Unforgiven on. So it was
pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. So how did you hear about this? The script came to you, or you reresearched it, or what?
Oh, Dan Gordon, who did the other co-writer with Sam, he brought it to us. I've got like 5 of his scripts we're trying to raise funds for right now. He's an amazing writer, and he's a dear friend as well. And this script was we were lucky with the casting. We were lucky with the crew we had. We put together very quickly. Once we got the money, we just boom. We went out there and shot this thing, and it's a PG rated movie. Your 7-year-olds can go to it. It's won 10 different film festivals. Everything from best romantic comedy to faith film, the judge's favorite, audience favorite. People love this movie, and what we need is the power of 10, is what we're saying, because it's a Fathom event. With Fathom events, it lets independent movies get into theaters for a little while, but you only really get 2 days. So if we fill up these theaters, that's why tickets are on sale now. If we fill them up now before the end of October, we'll get more days, more weeks with it. So we want this thing to build and build. Because I get stopped all the time by people saying, please make more movies like Soul Surfer and God's Not Dead and What If? And I'm going, dude, we're making them. You got to get out and find them and support them, because we don't have that big budget that Hollywood has.
The big one that just has been in the theaters, I get Sound of Freedom. That now, was that an independent as well, or was that?
That was independent, but that had a different sort of boost behind it, though. They had Angel Studios behind it. Angel Studios has the Chosen money, because that's money, tens of millions of dollars coming in from people that funded the Chosen. We're told by Angel Studios, go see this movie, but they had a much bigger budget. They shot that movie for about 15 million. Then they had to buy it back from Disney, so they needed to make 50 million just to break even, and they did it. And I think the biggest mistake Hollywood made, because my wife and I talked about this, I was shocked that Hollywood attacked this movie. I'm going, so they're saying that they're for child sex trafficking. I mean, that's what they're obviously saying. And that just fueled the fire. People said, really? I'm going to go see this movie. And I think it was brilliant campaigning by accident for the movie.
Mm-hmm. So as someone not in the industry, and several of our listeners would not understand the intricacies, help us understand, because we hear of independent projects being developed and people coming to the table, giving money to do these movies that do reflect values that people want. So what's the hurdle? How is it that we know these projects are being made, but the average family does not see that when they're looking up movies that are coming to their theater? Like, help us understand some of those hurdles that take place on the inside.
Sam, you want to take that?
Sure. So it doesn't matter how good your movie is if people don't know about it. So really, the biggest nut to crack is the publicity nut. And if the media doesn't want to talk about your movie because it supports values that the media doesn't support, then you're really out of luck. And so you're relegated to going to every podcast you can find, every independent reporter you can find, every independent media site you can find, bloggers and influencers. And that's the kind of campaign that we're running. We're also going to the not mainstream media outlets like Newsmax and OANN and One America's Voice and all of that. And so it's a bit of a slog, right? So if we were NBC Universal, then we would just go and advertise on NBC.
Right.
Which doesn't actually have the reach that it used to have, but still, right? And you've got all of the different affiliations that come with that. We, as independents, we have to build affiliations and try to do what we can in that way. And that's what we do. And so that's why Kevin talks about the power of 10, because if you're listening to this podcast, we are asking you, please go and tell 10 of your friends, make a list and literally knock off, just tell 10 of your friends, hey, this movie's coming to theaters and we should support it. Because that's the only way that movies like this will continue to be getting made. And it's not just our movie, it's all the other ones too. So Sound of Freedom, they started with a bigger budget. They started with a great big budget, frankly, to advertise their movie. And then when Hollywood came in and said, no, we don't like that movie.
It was free publicity.
I mean, really, they couldn't have asked for better advertising than to be attacked for saying that child sex slavery is wrong. Like, yes, please attack me for saying that.
Yes, please.
So, you know, our movie supports forgiveness. It's one of the qualities that we are losing in our American lifestyle, because our culture has turned towards cancellation as opposed to forgiveness, because the religion of the left is the antithesis of the Christian ethic. It's the antithesis, the exact opposite. And so they preach non-forgiveness, right? They preach child sacrifice. We preach life. right? We support life. We support forgiveness. We support entrepreneurism, self-reliance, like all of these values are represented in this comedy. And these are values that you won't see sadly in basic mainstream Hollywood stuff.
You got to remember,
wait.
These big Hollywood movies. You got to remember, they spent $300 million on an Indiana Jones or Pirates of the Caribbean, Avengers, Marvel. Then they spent another $100 million promoting it. So that's why they have commercials on every football game, basketball game, daytime soap. So these impressions go, even with a big name like that, doing these movies over and over again, they still go out and put it into your brain to go see it. So we got to compete against that. That's the biggest problem.
Right. So a guilt-free comedy you can watch with your family, no potty humor, and it has a moral value to the story.
What?
Wow, this is crazy. Y'all are on the edge.
We need to bring some people.
That's right.
Come on.
Honestly, listen, people, you're listening to this podcast, and we want to tell you right now, use that 10-to-1 principle, man. Start telling your family. Get together your neighborhood. Watch the movie together. It's just a clean comedy with some great principles and values that you'll walk away with. But we're not talking B-rate actors here either. We're talking world-class actors, a great set, a really great story that happens to be true. So get together with friends and family and watch this thing and support this movie and tell everybody you know about it.
One last question. What's your favorite scene? Sam and then Kevin, what's your favorite scene from the movie?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to give it away, but I'm in it. And if you get that far in the movie, it's the clincher, in my view. So that's my favorite scene in the movie. And I want to say to people, please go to sorbostudios.com and you can find out all the information about the movie, and you can sign up for our emails. Even though we are being attacked on emails, they shut us down. We're back up and running again. We can emails, they took Kevin down from Facebook and from LinkedIn.
I lost millions of followers between the two.
So encourage people to go to sorbostudios.com and sign up for our emails. You'll enjoy them. They're just a lot of fun. We don't inundate you or anything. And then you can find out how to get tickets there. And there are also other resources that are free downloads for people. So if you happen to be a homeschooler or happen to have ever considered homeschooling and might want to give a little bit of a try, because this movie is historic in nature, there's a great lesson to be taught from the movie, not to mention the theme of forgiveness and entrepreneurialism and some economics and stuff. So there's a download for homeschoolers. There's a download for group discussions if you just want to have a group chat about the movie. And there's also a download for pastors, some sermon notes that you could take from the film. So everything's available at sorbostudios.com.
Yeah. So a church could do this, like host like Sunday night. They could show the movie to their congregation on a Sunday night in their church service, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, so Kevin, we didn't get to hear about your favorite scene, but after that, I got one more question for you.
There's a couple scenes that I really like, but there's a scene I did with John Ratzenberger. It was a night scene. And it was after we struck oil, and how my character wants to get the heck out of Dodge and go to California. And he's always wanted to be an oil man. He says, we found oil. I said, dude, they're going to arrest us. But it's it's funny and very emotional at the same time. And it was, it's a pretty cool nighttime scene. And I think the whole thing about the movie, which I really love, though, is the music's all music from, remember this happened right in 1930. So this was right in the middle of the Depression. So this is the way they ripped these widows off, made it even more, really cruel in a way. But the cars we had are 1930 and earlier. The music is 1930 and earlier. The train, Calgary is one of 2 trains left in North America that still run on tracks. So we were able to use this train in the movie as well.
Steam engines. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I have one question for you before we get to our big last question, which I'll leave to Brandon. But if somebody is listening and they want, they have some funds and they would like to make an investment into a movie, do they just go to sorbostudios.com and inquire as to how they can be an investor for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
That is the way to do it. and they can email us there. And if they sign up for the emails, then they'll have an email to email. And all the information's right there.
Yep.
And we're a 501c3, so we're also nonprofit. So if people want to make donations, which we do have some wonderful donors, we're always ready to accept donations as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. One of the things that we ask each and every guest at the end of the show is something that goes back to a song that Charles sang a while back from one of his albums. It's called Made for This. And so we ask if money wasn't an object, time, location, anything there was no barriers and success was guaranteed, what would you want to do that you haven't done yet in your life? What is the big thing that you think, man, if money was an object, nothing stopped me and I knew I was get success, what would it be? Sam and Kevin.
Well, Kevin goes first because I went first last time.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I would like to go into space.
Oh, wow. We've never had that.
We haven't had that one.
I love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe
my mom said my first word was moon because I always pointed at the moon.
Wow.
That's the moon.
That's pretty
that's
cool.
The moon. So I've always loved the stars. I've always been a dreamer that way. I mean, I can remember even in high school when I had my driver's license to be by myself, I'd go on this area called it Monster Road. It was a very dark part of my little hometown and trees all around, but I find an open space and lay on top of my car and just look up at the stars. And I took a year of astronomy and I've just always been fascinated with space.
Some pretty cool apps that you can put on your phone. I'm sure you're well aware of them.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that answer. We've never had that. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I don't know why I wanted him to go first.
No pressure.
You know what? Here's my struggle with that. I am extraordinarily happy. I have a wonderful family. I love my kids. I love my husband. I don't know. Like you're asking me what's missing, and it isn't space. I'll tell you that. I would love to spend time with elephants. And I would love to see no child ever get put inside an institution that we call a school ever again.
Yep.
Wow.
I think that schools are very dangerous. They're abusive to children. I'm not calling out teachers. I'm saying the institution of school is a very dangerous thing that we have normalized, much like we are about to normalize pedophilia and child sex trafficking. And,
I agree with you, Sam.
And they are the conduit to that, among other things. And so that's if I don't know how money could help bring that about, but because you said like if money were but if I had unlimited success, that's I get emotional. That's where my success would be in keeping children away from schools.
That's really good.
What tremendous. Thank you guys so much. And Sam, thank you. I know you homeschooled all of your kids and you're homeschooling right now as we speak.
In Paris.
Yeah,
in Paris.
Let's be clear. My kids homeschooled me.
Oh, yeah.
God bless him because he certainly did, but they blessed me. So
awesome. Well, we sure appreciate y'all joining us and we wish you the very best. Not only in the new movie coming out, Miracle in East Texas, but also with all of your projects, your writing, your speaking, your movie projects, your script writing, your directing, all the things that you're doing. We are big fans and want to just let you know we're cheering you on every step of the way.
Very cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate the time.
Hey,
Thank you guys so much.
When you come to Liberty, we'll be over there to see you and shake your hand.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there. Sam's going to speak on homeschooling there with that big group, and I'm going to speak on the culture war with Hollywood. So it's going to be good.
Great. We'll meet you face to face in a couple of weeks. All right.
Yay.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys. Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.